Canelo Alvarez admits that if he doesn't fight Jermall Charlo, people will have a problem. He says he loves it and basically says people will always find a reason to quote unquote hate on him. We're going to explore this topic in this video. Y'all better stay tuned. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to my channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. Now, Canelo Alvarez, he posted something, and I really wanted to talk about it because I thought it was pretty ironic, to be honest. Canelo Alvarez, on his verified story, he posted basically a meme suggesting that people they'll never be happy with his picks, right? This is what he said. He says, so you guys see it's on Canelo's page. He says, I love this. And the meme says, if he fought Jermall Charlo, then he ducked Dimitri Bivol. If he fought Bivol, he ducked Charlo. If he fought Benavidez, he ducked Bivol. If he fought Benavidez, he ducked Charlo. If he fought Charlo, he ducked Benavidez. If he fought Bivol, he ducked Benavidez, so on and so forth. If he fought Benavidez, he ducked Charlo. If he fought Benavidez, he ducked Benavidez. And it says, my brain is fried. Canelo says he loves this. Now, to me, it's pretty stupid. And it's really weird when people take situations that are otherwise not really complex and they try to make them harder to understand. The reality is that Canelo Alvarez has fought mostly fair-skinned, Caucasian, Caucasoid fighters in recent memory. Eastern European fighters, Turkish fighters, and stayed away from certain styles. So he can post memes and things like that. But to me, this is Canelo Alvarez trying to justify the reports that have come out that Canelo Alvarez is likely to fight Dimitri Bivol and then Triple G. I made a video about it. Canelo came out and says, hey, nothing's official till I say, we're still negotiating. At one point, rumor was that he could fight Jermall Charlo. Now, the problem lies for Canelo is he has a history of this and he has patterns. So Canelo could say whatever he wants, but the history shows. Canelo always makes it sound, him and his team, they make it sound like people are reaching and, hating. And we got to really start clearly defining what is hate, because a lot of facts get misconstrued in this social media era for hate. If you say something factual, then people don't investigate it further. They don't check it for consistency or fluidity to make sure this is an accurate statement. They just lump it in with hate. But not everything that somebody says is about hate. People aren't just saying things just to hate on every fighter. Like, that's not how the game works. And that's the same thing with Canelo Alvarez. He's posting memes, but the reality is you could have fought either Charlo brother at 154 when you were at Canelo weight of 155, and you did not do that. Then Jermall Charlo, after Canelo, moved up to 160. So from that point, Canelo could have fought Jermall Charlo, and Jermall Charlo kept winning WBC eliminators and became the mandatory for Canelo. And guess what? Canelo still didn't fight him. So before names like Benavidez and Bivol were in the picture, Jermall Charlo was always a name linked, and that's a Black American fighter. Another Black American fighter that has been linked to Canelo for several years is Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade. So if you guys look at the chronological history, this is not hard to understand why people are clamoring for the same names. You know, they want to see him. Bivol, that's the guy that they're saying he might fight. But fights with Jermall Charlo, this was a conversation well before people even knew who Bivol was. And it just so happens that Canelo Alvarez continues to pick on certain fighters. And that's the reality. You know, Caleb Plant, he's a white American man from Tennessee. And just as I predicted, Caleb Plant was to give Canelo the toughest fight out of his recent fights. You know, that was his toughest. To me, he did better than other guys at 168. Yildirim, guys like Rocky Fielding, guys like Billy Joe Saunders. You know, I've seen people make different arguments. Some people said Billy Joe Saunders did better. How did he do better when he got knocked out sooner than Caleb Plant? And they both got knocked out. Meanwhile, Caleb Plant's going to continue fighting versus Billy Joe Saunders. He retired after the Canelo loss because it was such a, you know, devastating loss. And I guess he felt he had nothing left in the tank after that. So these statements don't really make sense to me. So Canelo, he can continue posting memes, but the theory and what people are saying is no different than people from his own country. In Mexico, you have legends like Nacho Beristain of the Romanza Gym, Juan Manuel Marquez, Eric Morales, all these guys, Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. at a point in time. They all had the same criticism. Chavez Sr., he has kind of backed up a little bit and, you know, said more favorable things, at least what the interviews I've seen recently about Canelo Alvarez, but there was a point in time where he was even critical. And the reality is the reason people are critical is because Canelo has the ability to fight anyone in boxing, no questions asked, and he has this type of power, yet he wants to fight a 40-year-old Golovkin that last time they fought, he already beat. This poses many problems because, for example, Gennady Golovkin, if he couldn't win a judge's scorecard when people thought he won at least the first fight, some people even thought that Triple G had no guys, had Max, big drama, guys, never, right? Some people even thought Triple G won the second fight, and people felt he couldn't get a fair shake in the first two fights. What happened at Golovkin's normal middleweight weight, at the weight that he's used to fighting at, what type of chance does Gennady Golovkin have against Canelo Alvarez at a weight that's foreign to him? He hasn't been fighting at 168. Canelo has. Canelo also recorded a knockout at 175, and he's younger, and they won last time. So if Canelo is extremely hard to beat on the judges' scorecards, then to me, this is out of the question to even surmise that Gennady Golovkin can win this fight or will win the fight, you know, in the rematch. It's not a bet I would be willing to take. So Canelo is making it sound crazy. No, people don't want to, they're not going to say you're ducking anybody depending on who you fight. The masses just want to see you in challenging fights and fights that they've been wanting to see for a while. Benavidez, his name has been there for a while, and Canelo doesn't pick these guys. If you look at Canelo's history, Canelo, I can pull it up, you know. Y'all don't want that. Y'all don't want that. Canelo Alvarez fights guys off of recent bad performances. I promise you, if you look at the guys Canelo fought, the guys weren't coming off sensational performances in their last 2, maybe 3 fights. Caleb Plant, his fight, he was on a long layoff and he fought Caleb Truax right before, and it went 12 rounds. And he busted up Caleb Truax, but this was in January 2021, and you see he didn't fight until, 10 months later against Alvarez, and he was coming off of the Truax performance where a lot of people criticize him, including Anthony Durrell and fans, saying he should have looked better. Same thing with Billy Joe Saunders. You guys could look at it. Billy Joe Saunders looked mid with Martin Murray in 2020, and then he didn't fight until he fought Canelo the very next year. Like, so let's say 6 months later. Before that, he fought Marcelo Esteban Corceres, who made him look horrible. And this was on the KSI Logan Paul card. So these are the 2 fights right before Canelo fought him. This is not impressive stuff. I don't care if he was a champion. There's multiple ways. Avni Yildirim, same thing. Avni Yildirim was on a loss and a 2-year layoff. He lost to Anthony Durrell, as you guys should be able to see on the screen, and he hadn't fought in 2 years. Why would I be impressed that Canelo beat him? Just because the WBC or whoever said he was the mandatory. He was, again, hadn't fought since February 23rd, 2019, and then he fought Canelo in 2021 in February 27th. So that's literally 2 years. It was 2 years. So that's not impressive to me, right? So Caleb Smith, he was coming off of a performance where he got booed in his own home state, in his own home country against John Ryder. And he was on a long layoff. Look, John Ryder fight was in 2019, in November 23rd, 2019, and people thought he lost that fight. And guess what? Canelo fought him in December, so clearly a year and a month after the John Ryder performance. So not only was he on a long layoff, a year and a month layoff before fighting Canelo, he also shouldn't have been a champion because many people, including a lot of the fans in Caleb Smith's backyard, believed that this was the guy that lost and he shouldn't have been a champion. And that was his own hometown crowd. So that's kind of like Teofimo when he said he won against George Kambosos. When your own hometown crowd is booing you, then you know you probably didn't do as good as you think. Same thing with Sergey Kovalev. Kovalev was coming off the Anthony Yard performance and a very quick turnaround. And I heard there were rehydration clauses. This stuff is not impressive. So Canelo Alvarez can overcomplicate it and make it look like no matter who he fights, he'll never get credit. You're not Floyd Mayweather. People really found a way to hate on Floyd Mayweather, and he was fighting Adrian Broner, lost to Marcos Maidana and was nearly stopped. That's when Floyd fought Marcos Maidana. So Marcos Maidana was at a peak level of dangerousness, and that's when Floyd picked him. Shane Mosley had just beaten Antonio Margarito. That was a peak performance where he wasn't supposed to beat Margarito, and he destroyed Margarito by stoppage, right? Golovkin, that's another person. If you do the rematch in September as planned, Gennady Golovkin has not fought one time since 2021, and then now he's going to take a fight that got rescheduled, I think they're trying to fight Ryota Murata in March, and then he's going to have to come right back and fight Canelo at a weight. If he beats Murata, he's going to have to fight Canelo at a weight he's not fought at 168, while Canelo gets time to rest in between, from now to May. Or September or whatever, from May to September. It's not impressive stuff, people. You could say whatever you want. So Canelo, he could post all the memes he wants to make it look like it's hard to understand, but truthfully, it's not. It's very easy to understand why he gets the criticism that he's garnered, and it's because the timing, the politics, the, handcrafting and selecting opponents at given times when it only benefits you instead of just fight. Like David Benavidez, none of this stuff that I've said applies to him. David Benavidez, he probably knocked out his last several opponents, right? Look, I'll show you. This is an example of why Canelo doesn't get the credit. So David Benavidez is 25-0 and he has 22 knockouts. There's nothing to complain about. There's nothing that you can say. You can't say, oh, he's coming off a bad performance. He's been destroying everybody. Only 3 people have not been knocked out. So he's younger than Canelo. He's big. His KO percentage is 88%. He's been a pro since 2013, so he has years in the game. He's taller than Canelo. He has long arms. He has a ferocious style. He has 3 TKOs in a row, then 4, 5 actual KOs. against Anthony Durrell and Jalen Love. So what was that, 5? He hasn't had a unanimous decision since, what is it, Ron Gavril in 2018. And this fight, he busted Gavril up in the rematch because the first fight he got dropped. But in his rematch, I think he broke Ron Gavril's jaw, and that was in 2018, so that was a couple years ago. So he's on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fight knockout streak, mostly knockouts, growing in confidence. I mean, what are we talking about? Unlike Billy Joe Saunders, who was 1 fight removed of looking horrible versus Marcelo Esteban Corceres, as I stated. Checkmate. Hopefully you guys like the video. Subscribe to the channel. I'm the best in the business. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster.